Hello there, God's Feeding Station. This is Pastor Doug White in Boulder, Colorado, where it all originates here in the studio. And we're in the book of Ruth, starting with chapter 4. We've been going through Ruth for a while in our latest broadcast. We have Henry Loke, voice a little scratchy still.
Yeah,
a little bit.
you know.
You're in another studio right next door.
Right.
1 through 6, and what do you want to call this?
I just called it the Rite of Redemption because we're going to go through kind of
Rite of
what he's doing and how he explains it, and maybe we'll explain a little bit too more of what's going on here and maybe give people a little bit better understanding of
Cool.
why it's got to happen the way it's going to happen. So
That sounds good to me. Okay, well, let me read it into the broadcast. I'll read the first 6 verses of Ruth chapter 4. If you have your Bibles with you, open them up. We'd love that. Henry and I will unpack it, maybe have a little bit of fun. Beautiful story, man. Ruth is a beautiful story. So here we are. It's titled, my Bible says, Boaz marries Ruth. So there's your little hint of what's coming.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Boaz went up to the town gate. He sat there. When the kinsman redeemer he had mentioned came along, Boaz said, "Come over here, my friend, and sit down." So he went over and he sat down. Boaz took 10 of the elders of the town and said, "Sit here," and they did so. Then he said to the kinsman redeemer, "Naomi, who has come back from Moab, is selling the piece of land that belonged to her brother Elimelech. I thought I should bring the matter to your attention and suggest that you buy it in the presence of these seated here and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, do so. But if you will not, tell me, so I will know. For no one has the right to do it except you and I, and you, and I am next in line. I will redeem it," he said. So then Boaz said, "On that day, you buy the land from Naomi and from Ruth the Moabitess. You acquire the dead man's widow in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property." At this, the kinsman redeemer said, "Whoa, I just added the whoa part. Then I cannot redeem it because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself. I cannot do it." Okay,
Cool.
So we'll stop right there.
Yep.
Yep. There's a little caveat there.
Well, yeah, because the way my commentary, because I had said last broadcast that it's Naomi that should be redeemed, and I think I was probably wrong based on what my commentary says, because with the death of Elimelech, it says the property now passes to Mahlon, which was Elimelech and Naomi's son. So Mahlon was the one that Ruth was married to. So in this instance, it is Ruth that needs to be redeemed because it's actually Mahlon's property
I'm gonna
now.
add maybe. Wait till you hear this. Keep
okay.
going. No, yeah.
No, that's what the Bible Knowledge Commentary says.
Okay.
So
So you taking it out of a
Yeah.
lot of numbers?
yeah,
Is
so
that
if I
passes to the brother, to the son?
if Linda
Okay.
if Linda and I die, then our stuff gets divvied up between our 3 kids.
Yes.
So that's where this commentary is going. So it's interesting that it goes down that road. I never thought of it that way.
Well, there's some great controversy in what to do with this.
Okay.
This is not a unique. I mean, this is a very unique case. So, in one sense, do you follow? I believe it's in the area of the Book of Numbers where they had specific regulations under Israelite law on how to pass the property down through the generations, through the brothers, through the sons, through the offspring, next of kin,
Okay.
all that stuff. But in this case, we're talking about the Levirate marriage, and we're talking about a kinsman redeemer. So then the question is this procedure that Boaz is doing, is he following it like property transferring down, or is he doing it based on somebody needs to marry the widow? And then you got the Israelite custom that says the widow really has no rights to sell the land. So there's some great controversy here, and all of the answers I think are partially right.
Okay.
Till we get to the end. So I don't think you were wrong initially, but now you're looking at another perspective.
Right.
And as you and I have often talked about, how do you frame the conversation?
Right.
Yeah, this one's really, really special.
Yeah, the part I really like about this, though, it's like, okay, we get the elders, leaders of the city, sit down, let's have a chat. There's
Yes.
no government. There's no real estate law office. There's none of that BS.
Because that's what it was. That's how
what
they
it was.
did it.
Right. It's just, you know what? It's you. I give you my word. We're going to settle this and do things the right way, and we're going to move on.
And we have witnesses.
Yeah, and
who are
we're
called
done.
elders.
Yeah, we're just done.
And do you know Mr. Boaz there? He is following the law he's like a high-level attorney at this thing. He is following this thing perfectly down the line.
Yeah.
So remember that Boaz had made this promise that he would take action in the morning. That was off of 3:13.
Yep.
Well, he does. He takes the action, and I believe that it happens first thing at the gate before everybody goes out to the fields to work. And now what I'm thinking is Ruth, her fate is on the line here, okay? I mean, whoever makes the decision, and I don't know if she's in listening distance. It doesn't say, does it, if she's around? I don't think she is. But if she'd have been sitting there and the guy goes, sure, I'll redeem her, she's probably thinking, oh my, I'm going to get stuck with this other dude, okay?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay, so it's the one who takes the initiative, and that's Boaz, to call this little local court into session.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's an assembly into session. He goes to the gate, he sits down, and now here's what's really interesting. The historical background is the gate is where most of their procedures took place in those ancient cities. And some of them, they found archaeology. They find things like sitting benches that were, I'm going to say, like stuccoed or whatever. But the masonry would build where they could sit and have a little quorum. So Boaz knows if he gets there, he can gather enough guys to hold a nice little local court, which would be legal. He goes to the gate, and I think that's a message. And I think I know he knows this other guy that he says, hey, my friend. Now that's what mine translates in verse 1, come over here, my friend. But what I found out in my studies yesterday on this one is that the word is way more specific than the generic term, hey, you, or my friend.
Uh-huh.
But there's something about why he doesn't call him by name. I don't know exactly what it is. There's some very interesting studies on why this one Hebrew word was used that my Bible translates my friend. Does yours say something different?
No, it says, come aside, friend, sit down here.
Come aside, friend, sit here.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So anyways, he's got a court proceeding going, man. He's got elders are in session. Yeah. And what do you want to say next that you want to talk about on this thing, Henry?
The other thing that's interesting is when he says, yeah, he'll redeem it, and then when he finds out Ruth is part of the deal, he says no. And I think part of that is too, if Ruth has a son, now the son gets that land and maybe part of his based on the law, and maybe he wasn't willing to do that.
Yes.
It was just more than he bargained for.
So
he's just like, nope, I'm not doing it. You redeem it.
You ready for this?
What?
Let's take it this way. You're a single man. I'm going to put you in Boaz's shoes, Henry.
Okay.
You're a single guy, and you're here in Boulder, Colorado. You got a nice house, and you find out somebody wants you to marry somebody, and you're like, man, this could really help this out. And your initial thought is, wow, and she's got land, she's got a house in Aspen, okay, and and all of a sudden they say to you, oh, by the way, she's got kids, okay,
yeah,
and you're like, ooh, not doing kids, okay,
yeah, been there, done that,
yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, in a sense, there's more to the story initially, and I think Boaz lays it out perfectly, as in he starts to tell him, first thing you need to know is you're next in line, so you have a first right of refusal. And the citizens know, by the way, I found out that when a prominent man in the community goes and sits down at the gates, that's a sign to them. That means it's time for we need to get a ruling here. And I don't think it's a coincidence or an accident that the kinsman redeemer walks by, the guy who's one step ahead of Boaz in the line. I think that's actually obviously
this whole
God's
thing
hand.
Is planned out.
Oh, yeah. God's all over this thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, in some ways, earlier, I think it was around 3:13, Boaz had given his word, and I think he said in the name of the Lord. Let me go back. He makes a pledge. Yeah, surely as the Lord lives, I will do it, is what Boaz says. So he's made a pledge in the name of the Lord, and I think the Lord responds to his pledge and makes sure that it happens. Because the guy who's supposed to be there shows up, And then some of the translations of that word say he's my friend. That's what my Bible does with it. Others say he called him by name. But basically, he's saying that this is in the ancient language, this is a specific person.
Yeah.
And so we don't have him confused with anybody. I don't think that's awkward for our people to read it. I think that's why the NIV just says my friend. It sounds kind of like, just sit down here.
I don't think it matters
Probably
who
not.
it is, as long as you realize this is a part of the family that has a responsibility in the line of succession kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I'm there.
Yeah, and I think so. Naomi, whether it's because of poverty, whatever's got to sell this field. This is the way it has to go down, and so he's first. Boaz is second, and Boaz does what he needs to do.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another thing. A commentator said the reason why the guy's name is never mentioned, okay, is because he's not an important part of the story. One of the commentators, and I don't remember who it was, but said something about if you go back to Orpah, if I'm saying it right. Yeah, Orpah, there you go. And
You're thinking of Oprah?
I always want to say Oprah, man. It's Orpah. And Ruth, we only get a tiny bit of her, and then she disappears. And the story is about Ruth. Well, we're going to find out the story is about Boaz. It's not about this other guy. But the other guy had to be dealt with. So in one sense, there's this royal line coming through. It's actually Daniel Block. I just found a note I wrote down, is the guy who said that basically what Boaz is doing is he's just bringing him into the story, but he's not the main part of the story.
No, he has to, because he's the first. He's got first right of refusal.
He really does, legally.
Yep.
And remember,
Yep.
Boaz, as you were saying, he's a righteous man.
Yep.
He's not going to do anything under the table.
Nope. No, he's not. He's going to keep it all above board and do what needs to do. And he, I wonder if he knows a little bit that this is the way it's going to go. Because he's pretty sure of himself.
Yeah.
He just goes out there and lays this thing out in front of the 10 witnesses and says, "Look, here's what has to happen. So either you're going to do it or I'm going to do it, but we're going to get this done now."
Well, he might know, because let's go here. Let's go with the fact that the other guy who's first in line, what if doesn't have any money right now, or what if he's already got a family and a bunch of kids or something going on, and he knows that when it comes down to it, this is a real decision here. If you can't step up to the plate and do it, and the guy says, "Oh, whoa, I don't want to risk the rest of my estate here." So, yeah, I think what makes it hard for us to kind of understand a little bit is because we're so far away in time from this kind of a story.
Yeah, and our culture's
never.
we
don't
never
do this.
No, we don't do this.
Yeah,
no, we're looking to make a buck as quick as so in some sense. I mean, when if parents who have land die and stuff, it's like, okay, sell it, divvy it up, move on.
Right. Yeah.
Rather than keep it in the family.
Well, what I found in my research is that from the primary law of the land there in the ancient Israel is that the widow really had no rights to sell. But what she was doing was apportioning the attachment of her responsibility of Ruth into following through into a marriage, which comes out of the Leviticus 25 to 30. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty interesting. And there's also in Leviticus 25:30 is you're supposed to pass the family land on and keep it tied to the tribe or the clan or the line.
Much different than what we do now.
Totally different.
Much different.
Unless
and I think that's why we don't understand it, right?
No, then it stays in the family.
Then we take whatever we can get and sell it. Yeah.
So we got the tension between Leviticus 25 to 30, and the Levirate marriage obligations in Deuteronomy 25:5 through 10, and then there's the issue that your other commentary brings up, which is Numbers 27:9 through 11, that talks about if a man dies without either a son or a daughter, his property passes to the brothers. And Boaz was from the clan of Elimelech, and the other kinsman redeemer is closer of a relative than Boaz was in that line. And one of the commentaries talks about like inheriting pecking order type of thing.
Right.
So.
Yep. Yeah, definite pecking order.
There definitely clearly is.
Yep.
But it seems as though Naomi's put this thing in motion, and she's going on the marriage situation, But she's transferring property the same, so she's not really selling the property. She's moving the property as attached with Ruth, and then that's what Boaz says: if you want the land, you got to take Ruth too.
Yeah, it's all or nothing, pretty much.
Right,
yeah,
right,
much.
Which is so cool.
Right. Well, and again, I go, and that thing I talked about with it being Mahlon's. If you go to jumping ahead a little bit, I'll say it's like 8 and 9. He talks about witnesses, and he says in 10, Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of Mahlon, I have acquired as my wife to perpetuate the name of the dead through his inheritance. Right. And so there's might be something to that thing of what the commentary said of the land passing down from Elimelech to Mahlon,
right?
And the fact that Orpah's not there. Right. I wonder how that would have gummed the works, because with Mahlon, if he dies, then it would have gone to Chilion, which was the next son.
Right.
Right. And that would have, then she would have had some say as well. But the fact that she's not there,
right,
it's just dealt through Mahlon because Ruth is present.
Right. So now here's another twist to this. I mean, here's the next layer on this thing is, remember, they were gone for 10 years when the land was barren. Okay. And likely some squatters have stepped in over that period of time. Now she's come back from the foreign country, Naomi has. She brings Ruth with her. Orpah goes back to her native land. The son-in-laws are the husband's dead, and the sons are dead. Okay, yep. So who's going to reclaim the property that's got the squatters on it? And it would take a guy like Boaz, okay, who's going to step up.
Yeah.
So somehow the land has to be reclaimed.
Right.
And if it's tied to Ruth, she has this, and Naomi, if you get them both, it's a paternal connection that's still there. Right? You see this happening?
Yeah.
I mean, this is too good to be true.
Yeah, because this isn't like, Boulder. It's like eminent domain, right?
Right,
yeah,
because here's where some of the assumption goes. If the land that Naomi came back to was ready to go, she would have had Ruth cleaning on it.
Right, but nobody's working it at this point.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
But somebody needs to be working it because it's good land.
Well, and the laws of the land were very important. I mean, the whole thing about moving a marker, you move the boundaries and stuff, that was serious issues.
Yeah, and Yahweh is not happy when markers are not dealt with right.
Well, because it's cheating. You're not supposed to do that kind of stuff.
So I asked you last broadcast, what did you think Naomi's main purpose was? And you were talking about survival.
Yeah, where did she act out of?
So now what do you think Boaz's main purpose is?
I think his thing is to do what's right in the eyes of God.
Which is, and what do you think it is?
To make sure that this land is redeemed and kept in the family. Correct. Whether he does it or the other guy does it doesn't matter to him.
It's not right, and it's not righteous.
I think he wants it, but he's not going to overstep.
Absolutely.
To get it.
And
he's not going to do anything.
And he's willing to even father a child, and he's not a young man. Okay?
No, there's a huge difference in age, it sounds like, between him and Ruth.
Yes. Yeah. This guy is serious stuff.
Yeah.
He's willing to get the land made right, which is, honoring to God. He's willing to bring forth a child, which is honoring to God, and to continue in the line. And he's paying a blessing back to Naomi, and he's respecting Ruth because she's an honorable woman. And I see this thing as, you've got to be kidding me. I'm going to make it my closing statement. This could only be God.